Hey everybody, it's me, Sarah, and it's back to Weight Watchers Share Your Success Week 3. This week we discussed the Great Plate, meaning we talked about Thanksgiving, which is coming up in another week. It's always good to get a plan for the day ahead of time so that when the week comes and the holidays here, you're not scrambling around, busy, and then have, oh crap, I don't know how many points I should be expecting to spend on Thanksgiving Day, or even Christmas Day. This applies to many holidays, but in particular, we focus on Thanksgiving as the Great Plate because the holiday is basically centered around food and eating a meal with everybody. And this way we get to think about it before things get crazy, essentially. And it really came in handy to talk about it today, which because tomorrow, which is my usual weigh-in day and meeting time, my husband and I are driving down to Georgia to visit my in-laws for about 10 days. We have a wedding this weekend, and then we're just going to stay for Thanksgiving week. I've never spent Thanksgiving down in Georgia before. This will be my first time. Typically, when I stay home, I have a very small family up here in Maryland, so we don't really do too much. My mom and I traditionally will run a 5K in the cold and in the morning. Then I'll actually help prepare about half of the meal itself, and then we take it to my grandparents' house and have dinner and go home, and it's done. Being out of my house for over a week, being in a place that I probably won't be contributing as much to the meal, and just a place in general that I don't have as much control, is going to be a challenge for me. But with knowing what the points plus values are for a lot of the typical Thanksgiving Day foods, and actually contributing at least one or two of those foods and planning ahead, I should be okay. And I say should because I always make a great plan, and sometimes I have to adjust it the day of or the meal of, or as it's happening, I have to just wing it. So first I want to talk about my weigh-in and how I did. I actually stayed about the same. I was at 0.2, which to me is maintaining. And for weighing in a day ahead of time, I kind of feel like that's a huge success. I'm okay with maintaining. Obviously, I have a few pounds that I want to lose still to get back to my goal weight, but I set a goal for these next 6 to 8 weeks to maintain or lose. And so maintaining is part of that goal, and I'm gonna be thrilled with it, especially during the holidays. And with this now the weather's gotten really cold, and it turns me into a hermit. So anyway, so I also wanted to show you my sticker calendar that I've been doing. I think I told you about it. The smiley faces are for tracking, and the stars are for going to the gym or getting a workout in. And I just was really proud of how this is coming along. I really didn't anticipate it to be as motivating as it is to see the stickers fill up on here. I mean, I kind of knew, but it's really making me happy and making me want to put a sticker down every day. And I like seeing that, holy crap, I've tracked for over, 10 days or so in a row. And I feel like, not that it's unusual for me, but it's a nice reminder. So there's my sticker chart, and I submitted my Share Your Success tip today to the board. I swear they put these things in really crappy. They should have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But no, they did it back and forth because, thank you, Weight Watchers. Thanks. But anyway, I got my sticker for attending 3 meetings so far. I will be attending, I have put it in my calendar to attend a meeting while in Georgia. Hopefully that will be all nice and filled up. And yeah, I put it in my calendar. And sorry, I thought I heard something going on outside. The dogs are going crazy. I put it in my calendar to go to a meeting, and I have to go the Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving anyway, because Weight Watchers is closed on Thanksgiving. So It's going to be sort of like a last minute weigh-in, motivation, get my head in gear to have a great day. And there's also going to be a Thanksgiving workout at the gym that I go to when I'm in Georgia. Excuse me, that I've been looking forward to for, for like the past few years, because I do CrossFit as my main exercising, with powerlifting as a side, on the side of CrossFit. And I do it at the same gym. My coach is the same for both. And when I traveled, I found that there were CrossFit gyms near my in-laws' house. So I have been going to this gym in Georgia, I guess now almost 2 years. And every Thanksgiving, they're like, "Are you going to come and visit and join us for the Thanksgiving workout?" And I'm like, "No, I'm in Maryland." So this year I'm actually excited because they asked me again. They ask me every year, "Are you going to come down?" And this time I get to say yes. And this time I get to show up and get a workout the day of instead of doing a 5K, which I had thought, well, maybe I'll run by myself in the neighborhood. And let's face it, if it's cold out and it's early, I'm not going to do it. But if it's a workout with other people at a place outside the house, for some reason, it makes me feel more accountable and eager to get there. Somebody can say, "Oh, I saw her, she was there. She did it, yay." So anyway, let's turn now to, I want to talk about the Great Plate, which I just got my paper. Got my paper wet. Anyway, this is what it looks like that they handed out, and I drew on it, so it doesn't come with pre-drawings. My handwriting is so good. Anyway, and on the back is where you fill in like all the points for all of the stereotypical foods you would eat on Thanksgiving. And obviously this way you can have the points right in your face. You can add them all up. You can see how much per serving, or what even a serving size is of each dish. And then maybe sit back and be like, "Hey, do I really want that? Or should I save my points for something else?" Or, okay, if my Thanksgiving dinner is 25 points, which it adds up quickly. It could be that much. What am I going to do the rest of the day? And then what am I going to do the rest of the week? I mean, I only get 26 points a day. And if I'm eating all 26 at Thanksgiving dinner, which is one meal out of how many, out of an entire week, what am I going to do so that I am still successful with my 8-week goal, my 6 to 8 week goal of losing or maintaining? So this is why I like this. We go through all the different types of turkey, with skin, without skin, light meat, dark meat, a leg, or even ham. And just to give you an idea of some of these choices, turkey, light meat, or like breast meat, cooked without skin is 3 points for 3 ounces, 4 points with the skin for 3 ounces. Do you really want that skin? Sometimes I would say yes. Sometimes the skin is totally worth that extra point. Sometimes not so much. Stuffing, 1/2 cup. Half a cup is not a lot of stuffing, by the way. This is from like a box, like a generic box. It's 5 points. Yeah. So gravy is 1 point for 2 tablespoons, or 2 points for 1/4 cup. Not terrible. Okay, gravy's good. But if you get turkey gravy canned, it's 0, which I don't really understand. And when I say the other gravy, so there's turkey gravy canned, which is 0, and then gravy brown, which is made from the drippings and the fat of the turkey. So I'm not quite sure what they're making in the canned stuff to make it 0. Maybe it's just like fat-free broth. I don't know. Green bean casserole. Now this one I love. I absolutely love green bean casserole, and it is like the one thing that I feel makes Thanksgiving. And traditionally it is a 6-point recipe. But I found, did I find it? Hold on. I found a Weight Watcher magazine that had a recipe, yes, okay, for Thanksgiving. This was from November, December 2012. So I don't know if you'll ever find it, but it's that one. If you get the Weight Watcher magazine subscription and you have archived it for 2-3 years, look in this one. This one has a green bean casserole recipe. If I could get to it. So here's a picture of it. It doesn't look, okay, it's not going to look the same, but you have sort of the same flavors that are going into it, and you're gonna love this. 3/4 of a cup, which is practically, it's 1/4 cup more serving in the serving, is 2 points. Two. I've made it before. I even omitted the French fried onions that you put on top because I think the first year I made it, I couldn't even find it. And that year when I ate it, I didn't even care that it was missing. So, and nobody cared it was missing. It got completely eaten up by everybody. So I really want to make that this year so that I can have a 2-point green bean casserole. And it basically is satisfying that urge or that craving for the casserole without, 2 versus 6 points. That is a huge difference. That's like huge. Sweet potatoes, I don't even know. I don't even know what we're having in Georgia, but sweet potatoes, there's a sweet potato crunch recipe that my leader has suggested to us that is actually diabetic friendly, and I really want to try making it if I can, if I have time. I forget how many points that is, but plain sweet potatoes mashed is 3 points for a half a cup. Cranberry sauce, I honestly have never eaten that. As a child, I was disgusted by it, and I never tried it, so I don't even go for that. But that's 1 point for 2 tablespoons. And mashed potatoes plain for half a cup is 3 points. So potatoes in general, mashed, are going to be 3 points. Biscuits with butter. Now this I know. I sometimes love those flaky crust biscuits. Those are 5 points for 1 biscuit. Ugh, it's terrible. So this usually I have both stuffing and a biscuit. And this year I think I want to really make a decision for one or the other. Do I really need 2 different types of bread? I mean, they're both buttery. They're both delicious. But do I need both? Especially if they're both running 5 points? I don't need 10 points in bread on my plate. So, I'm going to have, I wrote down that I kind of wanted like a bite of a biscuit. But I don't know if I can stop after a bite. So, we'll see. And now, the worst part of, or the highest points come from dessert. Apple pie, the double crust, so meaning a bottom and a top crust. 1/8, which I don't know if you've ever seen a normal size pie. 1/8 of a pie is like the smallest portion you can make. I usually cut pies into, if I'm not thinking about serving sizes and points, I would cut a pie into 6. But if you cut into 8, oh my God, it's 11 points for 1/8. Pecan pie, which I've never had at a Thanksgiving dinner. I should probably be thankful for that. Oh no, that's a lie. I take it back. Pecan pie has been at Thanksgiving, and it is delicious. It's 14 for 1/8 of a slice. Pumpkin pie is 8 points. And fruit salad, if it's like just fruit cut up, is 0. So, and then we talked about what if you had like just the filling for a pie? Like what if you scooped out a serving of, let's say you want pumpkin pie without eating the crust? Do you really need the crust? And we found out that if you could probably subtract 3 points off of your pie slice if you don't have crust. At least 3. If you do the double, maybe 6. And that's a little more realistic. So then I was thinking, I had a moment of what if I had the fruit to be sort of like my main dessert, and then I put the pumpkin pie filling on top. See where I'm going with this? Like, then I can have my cake and eat it too. And it will like, it will be great. It could be really great. So it's something I'm thinking about. But at first I need to know if there's going to even be pumpkin pie. And I have to even know if it's being cut the right way, or if I can even be OCD and put myself in there to cut the cake, cut the pie. Because I'm like that. I'm that person that I think my relatives are just like, oh God. Because I'm like, well, could you please maybe cut it differently so I can track my points? And, you know, no one else gives a crap. But at the same time, they're like, oh God, you mean I have to like cut it this way for everybody now? And why don't you just, you know, I just get in the way sometimes. So we'll see. We'll see what I do. And then there's also the booze to account for. I don't know about your family, but sometimes you need a little, you need a lot of booze to get through the day. Just keep in mind that it is not difficult to measure out alcohol. It is just more difficult to stop drinking the alcohol. So if you tell yourself I'm having this one glass of wine, which by the way, 5 ounces is 4 points, and you only want one, to maybe like take some time back to say, okay, I'm only gonna have this one, so I better sip it. I better not just bottoms up. And then something else we talked about was appetizers. Will there be any appetizers before the meal or while the meal is being finished cooking or finishing up? And that's something I didn't even think about. And I was like, oh God, what if there's cheese and crackers and all this other stuff just sitting? You know how it just sits and stares at you? And it's like, hey, you have no one to talk to right now. You're not doing anything. Why don't you come stand over, instead of standing awkwardly in the living room, why don't you come stand over by the food and do something? So I would like to avoid any appetizers if humanly possible. My strategy is to track ahead as much as possible, eat very high protein, high veggie meal, breakfast and lunches, and maybe even a snack if I am hungry before dinner. Snap and track all of my plates. That keeps me accountable, because if I'm snapping 4 pictures, then yeah, I need to stop. And then lastly, I found a tip to walk for 15 minutes between the main meal and dessert. It's going to be really hard for me to get up and go outside, especially if it's cold, but I know my dogs will appreciate a little break. I mentally will appreciate a little break from the room and from everybody, and get outside, get some fresh air, move things around, and maybe that craving for pie will subside a little bit, because maybe I'll actually feel full. So that's my strategy. I hope you're ready for Thanksgiving next week, and I would love to hear what you're doing for it. And I will see you next week for my pre-Thanksgiving Day weekend, pre-Thanksgiving Day weigh-in, and an update from Georgia. Have a great one, guys.